Hello, today we will go over the candidates tournament, the Liren-Caruana Fabiano game, in which Liren won. He practically had to win this game in order to get back into the tournament. So now Liren is back. He is back in the tournament. He has 1 point. The top finisher, those that are in the top have 2 points now. So he's right back in it. So we'll go over this game. Liren, Fabiano. Caruana went wrong and completely wrong in this game. Somewhere. So we have D4, D5, C4, C6. Slav. Knight F3, Knight F6, Knight C3. D takes. So white has to somehow recapture his pawn. He could play E4 here, trying to go after the pawn, or E3, then A4 if B5. He plays A4 first, stopping B5, trying to guarantee he'll get that pawn back. He could also play Knight E5 and Knight takes C4. So Bishop F5, Knight E5, this is what he played. So far, nothing outstanding here. E6, F3, going for E4. So Liren is going for a big pawn center. I like that idea, this F3. It reminds me of this, I believe, the Siamish King's Indian. F3, Bishop B4, pinning. Liren recaptures his pawn, Knight takes C4, castle. King to F2, that's interesting. The king is doing a sort of self-castle. The king gets out of the pen of the B4 bishop also. E5 going for the center. Let's see, was that a computer choice? Not really. Computer says this E5 is a slight inaccuracy. It looks like black is just giving away a pawn for no compensation. So knight takes. Liren says, I'll gladly take that pawn on E5. Knight takes E5. Bishop to C2, going for tactics. If queen takes C2, then queen takes D4, recovering the pawn, followed by queen takes E5. We have E3, maybe, then queen takes. He's recovered his pawn. Pawn-wise, we're even. And black is okay. He'll just develop this queen's knight and centralize the 2 rooks. Probably put a rook on D8 and E8. And he's doing fine. But instead, Liren sidesteps this. Queen to D2, temporarily blocking his C1 bishop. C5. Going for the center. Then we have D5. Now this is where it gets interesting. Here we still have the same thing after C5. Let's see. Yeah, if queen takes bishop on C2, then black still has queen takes D4 and then recovering the knight, recovering his piece on E5, and he should be okay. Then pushes. Now what happens if we try to remove the defender of D5? If bishop takes, well, it wouldn't matter, right? Because the C2 bishop is still attacked. Because we could go queen takes or B takes. B takes is better because we have a future C4. So B takes. Now this bishop is still attacked. If the bishop moves, then we have C4 with bishop G6, C4, solidifying the center, and he's still a pawn up. But if queen takes, if B takes, then queen takes, knight takes. Let me see, then E4 if knight takes. No, you can't. You can't. Knight takes c3, rather. So e4. What happens if knight takes? Then we simply play bishop c4. White has his pieces developed, and if black gets greedy, let's see, and if he takes another pawn, then rook to a2, black will be tangled up here between his knight and the bishop after rook a2. Yeah, he would lose a piece after all of these, he picks up all of these pawns. Then simply bishop c4. Yeah, bishop d2 is a threat because the knight is trapped here, basically. But what if we play, there was another variation, bishop c4. Oh, bishop c4 and bishop takes. But then we still attack the defender of a4, bishop to b2 attacking the knight. So bishop takes c3, b takes, right? So bishop takes c3 is not good, which Caruana saw through that. Computer says, let's see, play bishop, simply to play the bishop to e4. That's a tactical move. Or could we just play back? If we play bishop g6, then white is still in trouble. Computer suggests h4, h5, or expand on the king side, right? That's with g4 and h4, then h5. So plays bishop b3, which is a better move. Then we expand e4, solidifying, protecting that d5 pawn. So let's see, white is up a pawn. Okay, so rook e1, queen to f4, protecting the knight. Knight d3. No, that's a knight c4. Why aren't they possible? Because knight c4. Oh, with the tactic, rook takes. So he has to watch out for tactical blows on e4. Then we have rook takes e4. Pawn takes, knight takes, check. And the knight is pinned. The queen is attacked. Computer says he could give up the queen for 2 pieces, I believe, in that variation. So we have queen at f4, c4, knight takes c4. So, yeah, c4 is the computer's choice. Protecting that bishop, but I don't see. Knight takes c4, knight b, bishop to e3. And so far, white has a slight advantage, but the computer says, well, it's basically even here. Knight f8, bishop d4, knight g6, attacking the queen, queen f5. Bishop takes c4, bishop takes, queen to c7, attacking the bishop, bishop back. I like white's center here. White is still up a pawn, and all of these pawns, they look menacing because he could advance on the king side with g4, h4, h5 also. Pawn storm, in other words, white could develop a pawn storm. Bishop c5, wanting to exchange dark squared bishops. He does. Queen takes check, king moves, h6. Now this is where black starts to make slight mistakes. h6 Computer does not like h6 at all here, but suggests rook to e5, attacking the queen. Computer suggests rook e5, queen moves. Then something like queen here, attacking b2. Oops, and then rook to b1, defending. It's kind of aggressive. Then knight f4, queen to g3. Then he's okay. But h6, computer says it's almost a blunder. But so the follow-up computer likes is g3. So h6 is a weakness. It's weakening the king side. So queen to b6, rook d2, queen to e3, rook c2, a6, queen to h3, b5. He expands on the queen side. Queen to g3, going to a better square. Then b4. Computer doesn't like b4. Centralizing the rooks, rook ec8 is a better choice. So b4, this move is really weak here. Attacking the queen, knight d1, queen to b3, attacking the rook, rook d2, then picks up another pawn. The problem is white's center is very strong here. Queen to f2. See, white is still up a pawn. Queen to d7, g3, making room maybe for the king. Queen to h3, check, king moves, a5. Centralize the queen, knight to h5. At this point, the computer says black is lost. Those pawns will march. Knight to f2, attacking the queen, queen moves. Then Ding plays f4. d6 is also an option. f4, the pawns are marching. And computer agrees he has to give up one of the knights here. This is just it's too much pressure from the pawns, so he gives up a knight for 2 pawns. King to f1. White is now virtually up a piece. So let's waste a move here, see what happens. Oh, wait. I missed that. f4. My fault. f4 is also attacking the h5 knight. Now, if he moves back, then e5. That's the problem. f4 is attacking the knight. Then e5, and these pawns are storming. He moves back. Let's see, is g4 too ambitious? Even g4 is okay, but better yet, bishop g4, attacking, or king to g2. What's the follow-up here? If we go king to g2 eventually, let's say he wastes a move. Not particularly that one. Then bishop g4. The pawns dominate. The knight is offside. It's pretty much over. So with that, again, with this f4, he's discovered attack on the knight. So it's better to give up the piece. Then king to f1. Queen to d6, rook g1, attacking g7. Threatening mate. f6, stopping mate. Attacking the rook, bishop b5, b3, rook f8, rook c2, knight e6, can't take the knight because the queen is hanging, would be hanging. Queen e3. I mean, white is virtually up a piece. Knight g5, h4, attacking the knight again. Knight f7, rook c6, queen to b8, queen c5, queen d8. Rook takes f6. It's practically a slaughter now. The pawn is pinned on g7. I mean, he's taking pawns and pieces of pin. You know, rook f5, rook c7, attacking. Bishop c6, a4. I mean, Caruana could have resigned at this point. a4, b takes, b3, rook g3, b2, rook b3, stopping b1 queen, knight d6, attacking the rook, they exchange, and then picks up that menacing pawn on b2. Queen to f4, all bases are loaded, are covered, he cannot check, there are no checks, c1 is covered, rook check, king up, queen to c2, rook to e7, e5 check, knight protects, then centralize. The more that they trade, the better off white is. He's up a piece. He gets in a dying check, king to g2, g6 protecting the knight, then rook to b3. And Caruana resigned here. I mean, he has e6. Computer suggests maybe queen here. And rook here pins the bishop, the rook. And then rook takes, bishop takes. And the more that they exchange, the better off white is. Let's go back. Let's see exactly after h. Let's see, b5. After h6, though, that was the problem here. King to f1, h6, which weakens the king side. I mean, this doesn't look too dominating here. I'm trying to find out where exactly black went wrong. Perhaps that bishop to c2 tactic. No. Well, e5 was an inaccuracy. He's just giving away a pawn here. This is where his trouble began here with e5. Computer says c5 would have been better. Indeed, or just bishop to g6 as a precautionary move. Maybe just bishop g6 because you have e4 coming. And then c5. e5, he's just giving away a pawn. And he's going for this tactic here, which, again, Ding rejects with queen d2. So his problem begins with, he gave away a pawn practically. Then c5, d5. This is a nice move. Because as we went over, any attempt to regain that pawn, it's not good. Queen takes, knight takes. Then e4, and he's tangled up. If the knight moves, we didn't go over this variation. If the knight moves, then bishop here. Maybe this goes here. White still has an advantage here. I'm trying to figure out why it's such a big advantage. He's up. Let me see, 4, 6, 3. No, in this variation, they're even pawn-wise, but the bishop has trouble here. Knight takes, then a5. Bishop takes. Let me see, knight takes, then a5. I would get the bishop out of there. But c4. c4, this bishop is trapped. If he goes something like I mean, he has bishop e2, then a rook comes over. Computer says f5 is a counter move here. E5, so he doesn't take here. No, he can't take e5. And if he goes here, then we attack the bishop. This bishop is in trouble. So his problems may have begun with e5. And then Ding, his position just became better after that, stronger and stronger. And the pawns dominated. The king side pawns begin to dominate the position. Okay, so Ding wins, which he really needed that win. He's back in the tournament, and we'll see what he does tomorrow. Great win. I mean, you would not believe that he's playing a 2800 player, a world-class player here in this game. If he continues playing like this, he'll be a contender. He had two rough starts. The start was rough. He lost 2 in a row, and that is astonishing. But he seems to have found himself, so we'll see what happens. All right, until next time.